Today, we're revealing 30 African American recipes you'll wish you knew sooner, from crispy fried chicken that shatters when you bite it, to sweet potato pie so good it'll change your life, and even Kool-Aid pickles you won't believe exist. Which one of these soul food classics will blow your mind the most? Stick around because you're about to find out. 1. Southern fried chicken. Southern fried chicken is special because of the way African American families made it their own. Sure, people all over the world fry chicken, but this version has a flavor that stands out. The chicken is usually marinated or dipped in buttermilk to make it extra tender. Then it gets covered in a mix of flour and spices, things like paprika, cayenne, garlic powder, and black pepper. Once it hits hot oil, the coating turns into a golden crust that shatters when you bite into it. The inside stays juicy and flavorful. But fried chicken isn't only about taste, it's history. Back in the days of slavery, chickens were one of the few animals enslaved families could raise. They turned this into something special, seasoning the meat and sharing it during gatherings. Over time, fried chicken became the centerpiece of Sunday dinners, church picnics, and holidays. Even today, people say no fast food chain can beat homemade fried chicken from Grandma's skillet. 2. Collard greens with smoked turkey. Collard greens are big leafy vegetables that taste earthy and hearty, but by themselves, they can be a little bitter. That's why African American families started cooking them low and slow with smoked turkey, or sometimes ham hocks. The meat adds a smoky, salty flavor that balances the greens perfectly. They're simmered for hours with onions, garlic, broth, and seasonings until they're tender and packed with flavor. Eating greens is also tied to tradition. On New Year's Day, collard greens are often served because they're believed to bring wealth and prosperity. The green leaves represent money, so families eat them hoping for good luck in the year ahead. 3. Gumbo. Gumbo is a famous Louisiana dish with African, French, and Native American influences. It usually starts with a roux, which is flour cooked in oil until it's dark brown. That's the secret base that gives gumbo its deep flavor. Then you add vegetables like onions, celery, and bell peppers, the holy trinity of Cajun and Creole cooking. Gumbo can be made with seafood, chicken, sausage, or sometimes all three. It's spiced with herbs and sometimes thickened with okra or filet powder. Gumbo isn't just food though, it's a symbol of cultural mixing together. Just like the ingredients blend, gumbo represents the blending of different communities in the South. Families make huge pots to share, especially during holidays or big gatherings. 4. Shrimp and grits. This dish started in the South as a simple fisherman's breakfast. Shrimp cooked with bacon or gravy, served over creamy grits. Grits are made from ground corn, cooked until soft like porridge. When topped with shrimp, butter, garlic, and spices, it becomes something magical. Over time, restaurants made it fancier, but the heart of the dish is still soul food. Shrimp and grits show how African American cooking took simple ingredients and turned them into something unforgettable. What started as humble food is now a celebrated Southern classic. Shrimp and grits prove you don't need expensive ingredients to make a masterpiece. It's comfort food that also feels special enough for any occasion. 5. Fried catfish. Catfish is a freshwater fish that's common in the South. African American families turned it into a favorite by seasoning it well and frying it until golden. The fish is often coated in cornmeal instead of flour, which gives it a unique crunchy texture. It's usually served with hot sauce, hush puppies, and coleslaw. Fish fries became popular community events. Neighbors and families gathered, fried huge batches of catfish, and shared laughs and stories. It wasn't just about eating, it was about bonding. 6. Black-eyed peas. Black-eyed peas are small, creamy beans with a black spot in the middle. On their own, they taste mild, but when slow cooked with onions, garlic, and smoked meat like ham hocks or turkey, they turn into a rich, comforting dish. The flavor is earthy and savory, and the broth they make, often called pot liquor, is so good, people dip cornbread in it. The dish became famous because of its connection to New Year's. In African American households, eating black-eyed peas on the first day of January is believed to bring good luck, health, and prosperity for the year. The peas represent coins, so eating them is like attracting money and blessings. Collard greens are usually served alongside them since the green leaves represent dollar bills. Together, they're called Hoppin' John when cooked with rice. This tradition goes back hundreds of years. Some say it started during the Civil War when Union soldiers took all the food they could find except for black-eyed peas, which were seen as animal feed. But those peas ended up feeding families and keeping them alive. Over time, they became a symbol of survival, strength, and hope. 7. Sweet potato pie. This pie is a Southern classic that African American families have been baking for generations. It starts with mashed sweet potatoes, which are mixed with sugar, butter, eggs, milk, and warm spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, and vanilla. The filling goes into a flaky pie crust and bakes until smooth and golden. The result is sweet, creamy, and comforting. Sweet potato pie is more than dessert. It's tradition. Enslaved Africans used the foods available to them, and sweet potatoes became a staple. They were easy to grow, filling, and naturally sweet. Over time, they became the stars of this pie, which is now a holiday favorite, especially during Thanksgiving and Christmas. Many families will tell you no store-bought dessert can beat Grandma's sweet potato pie. Everyone has their own recipe. Some add lemon juice for brightness, some make it extra spicy, and some keep it simple. Either way, it's always baked with love. 8. Cornbread. Cornbread is a soft golden bread made with cornmeal, flour, milk, eggs, and butter. It can be baked in a skillet for crispy edges or in a pan for fluffy slices. Sometimes people make it sweet with sugar or honey, and sometimes it's savory with no sweetness at all. Either way, it's always delicious. Cornbread is the perfect partner for so many dishes. You dip it in collard greens juice, eat it with chili, or crumble it into black-eyed peas. Some people even make cornbread dressing, which is a holiday dish similar to stuffing. This food has African roots too. Cornmeal was a staple in the South, and African American families used it to make filling, budget-friendly meals. Over time, cornbread became more than food. It became a tradition that carried from generation to generation. 9. Red beans and rice. This dish is especially popular in New Orleans. It's made by simmering red beans with onions, celery, bell peppers, garlic, and smoked sausage or ham. The beans cook slowly until they're creamy and full of smoky flavor. Then they're served over fluffy white rice. Red beans and rice started as a Monday tradition. Back in the day, Monday was laundry day, and families needed an easy meal they could leave simmering while chores were done. Beans were cheap, filling, and perfect for feeding big families. Restaurants across Louisiana serve them, and people still make big pots at home for gatherings. 10. Barbecue ribs. Barbecue ribs are tender, smoky, and coated in rich, sticky sauce. The ribs are seasoned with a dry rub of spices, then slow cooked until the meat is so soft it falls off the bone. Some people grill them, others smoke them, but either way, the smell alone makes your mouth water. African American families turned barbecue into an art. Cooking ribs low and slow over wood fires became a community event. People gathered around, shared food, told stories, and enjoyed the flavor together. Each family or region has its own sauce. Some sweet, some spicy, some tangy, but all of them taste amazing. 11. Chitterlings. Chitlins are made from pig intestines, and that's why they have such a strong smell and such a big reputation. Back in the days of slavery, enslaved Africans were given the leftover parts of the animal, including intestines. Instead of throwing them away, they cleaned them carefully and turned them into a dish that became part of African American culture. Cooking chitlins takes patience. First, they have to be cleaned over and over again to make sure they're safe to eat. Then, they're boiled for hours, usually with onions, garlic, vinegar, and hot peppers to help with the smell and add flavor. Some people fry them after boiling to give them more texture. When done right, chitlins are tender and flavorful, and for many families, they're considered a special occasion dish. 12. Oxtail stew. Oxtails are exactly what they sound like, the tail of a cow. At one time, they were considered scraps, but African American families turned them into a hearty stew that's now loved everywhere. The process takes time. Oxtails are first browned in a pot to lock in flavor. Then they're simmered slowly for hours with onions, garlic, carrots, celery, and rich broth. The meat is tough at first, but as it cooks, it becomes tender and falls off the bone. The bones release gelatin, which thickens the stew naturally and makes it rich and flavorful. Some people add beans, potatoes, or rice to make it even heartier. Oxtail stew isn't fast food. It's the kind of meal that fills the house with an amazing smell while it cooks all day. It's usually served with rice or cornbread to soak up all the gravy. 13. Jambalaya. Jambalaya is a classic Louisiana dish with roots in African, Spanish, and French cooking. It's basically rice cooked with meat, seafood, and vegetables, all flavored with bold spices. What makes it special is that everything cooks together, so the rice soaks up all the flavors. It usually starts with the holy trinity of Cajun and Creole cooking: onions, celery, and bell peppers. Then you add sausage, chicken, or shrimp, or sometimes all three. Paprika, cayenne, garlic, and thyme bring the heat and depth. Tomatoes are used in Creole jambalaya, while Cajun versions skip them. Either way, the result is spicy, smoky, and full of flavor. 14. Chicken and waffles. Chicken and waffles bring together two foods you don't normally see on the same plate. On one side, you have fried chicken, crispy, seasoned, juicy. On the other side, you have waffles, soft, fluffy, and a little sweet. Put them together and you get a flavor combo that's crazy good. People usually pour syrup over the whole thing, so every bite has sweetness from the waffles and syrup, plus crunch and saltiness from the chicken. The dish goes back to African American history. In the 1930s and 40s, chicken and waffles became super popular in Harlem, New York. Jazz musicians who finished late-night gigs wanted a meal that was both breakfast and dinner. Chicken and waffles became the perfect answer. You had the breakfast vibe with waffles and syrup, and the dinner vibe with fried chicken. From Harlem, the dish spread to other cities and eventually became a soul food staple. 15. Peach cobbler. Peach cobbler is basically a baked dessert made with peaches and a biscuit-like topping. The peaches are usually mixed with sugar, butter, cinnamon, and nutmeg, which turn bubbly and sweet in the oven. On top, a dough or batter is spread, which bakes into a golden crust. When it's done, you get soft, spiced peaches underneath and a crispy, buttery top. Add a scoop of vanilla ice cream, and it's perfection. This dish became popular in African American and Southern homes because it was easy to make with simple ingredients. Fresh peaches in the summer were often turned into cobblers because it stretched the fruit and fed a big family. Even canned peaches could be used when fresh ones weren't available, which made it a year-round dessert. Everyone has their own version. Some make it sweeter, some less. Some add extra spices, others keep it simple. But no matter what, peach cobbler always feels warm and homemade. 16. Biscuits and gravy. This dish starts with soft, fluffy biscuits made from flour, butter, and milk. They're baked until golden and tender inside. Then comes the star of the dish, gravy. The gravy is usually made from pork sausage cooked with flour, milk, and black pepper. The flour thickens the gravy, while the sausage adds flavor and texture. Poured over fresh biscuits, it becomes a rich and hearty meal. Biscuits and gravy have deep roots in Southern cooking. They started as a cheap and filling breakfast for workers and farmers who needed energy for long days. African American families made them part of their traditions too, serving them during Sunday mornings or special gatherings. The dish shows how simple ingredients like flour, milk, and sausage can be turned into something delicious. Today, biscuits and gravy are loved all over America. Restaurants serve them in different styles. Some add cheese, others make spicy versions, and some even use turkey sausage. But the classic will always be soft biscuits smothered in creamy sausage gravy. 17. Candied yams. Candied yams are a soul food classic that show up at almost every holiday table. They're made with sweet potatoes. Yes, yams and sweet potatoes are often mixed up, sliced, and cooked in a sugary glaze. The glaze is usually a mix of butter, brown sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, and sometimes marshmallows on top. When baked, the sugar caramelizes, the butter melts, and the spices blend in to make the sweet potatoes taste like candy. This dish became a tradition because sweet potatoes were easy to grow and cheap, especially in the South. African American families took this humble vegetable and turned it into something fancy and delicious. Over time, candied yams became a staple for Sunday dinners, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. Everyone has their own way of making them. Some people keep them simple with just sugar and butter. Others make them extra fancy with marshmallows, pecans, or even a splash of orange juice for flavor. No matter how they're made, they always bring sweetness to the table. 18. Macaroni and cheese. This isn't the box version you make in 5 minutes. Soul Food mac and cheese is rich, cheesy, and baked until golden on top. It starts with elbow macaroni, cooked until just tender. Then it's mixed with a blend of cheeses, cheddar, mozzarella, sometimes even Velveeta, for maximum creaminess. Eggs and milk are added to hold it together, and the whole thing goes into the oven. The result is creamy inside with a crispy, cheesy top layer that's absolutely perfect. African American families made baked mac and cheese their own. It's often called the Queen of Soul food sides because it shows up at every holiday and cookout. Some people add extra seasonings like paprika or mustard powder. Others load it with 3 or 4 different cheeses. No matter the version, it's always comfort food. 19. Smothered pork chops. Smothered pork chops start with seasoned chops that are seared until golden brown. Then they're simmered in a gravy made from onions, garlic, flour, and broth. The gravy soaks into the meat, making it tender and flavorful. Sometimes people add mushrooms, peppers, or cream to make the sauce richer. This dish has deep roots in Southern cooking. It was a way to take a simple cut of meat and stretch it into a filling meal for the whole family. The gravy wasn't just for taste. It made sure every bite was moist and delicious. Families often served smothered pork chops with rice, mashed potatoes, or cornbread to soak up all the extra sauce. They turn ordinary meat into something special, reminding everyone that soul food is about making the most out of what you have and making it taste amazing. 20. Hot water cornbread. Hot water cornbread is exactly what it sounds like. Cornmeal mixed with boiling water and shaped into small patties, then fried until golden. It's crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. Unlike baked cornbread, this version is faster and has a unique texture. African American families created hot water cornbread because it was cheap, quick, and filling. Back in the day, people didn't always have ovens, so frying the bread in a skillet was easier. Over time, it became a tradition at dinner tables, especially served with collard greens, beans, or fried fish. Hot water cornbread may look simple, but it's powerful. It represents resourcefulness, making something out of very little and still creating food that everyone loves. 21st. Fried okra. Okra is a green vegetable that has a reputation for being slimy when cooked the wrong way, but African American families found a way to make it delicious by frying it. To make fried okra, the pieces are cut into little rounds, dipped in buttermilk or egg, rolled in cornmeal or flour, and then fried until golden brown. The outside becomes crispy while the inside stays soft, giving you the perfect bite every time. Fried okra became a popular soul food side dish because it was affordable, easy to grow, and tasty when cooked right. Families often made it for Sunday dinners or big gatherings, serving it with fried chicken, catfish, or collard greens. It was the kind of food that kids and adults both enjoyed, even if they weren't crazy about vegetables in general. The frying method wasn't just about taste. It was also about tradition. Frying food was a skill that African American families perfected. They took something simple, like okra, and made it into comfort food that brought people together. Today, fried okra is served at soul food restaurants and still shows up on many Southern dinner tables. 22. Banana pudding. Banana pudding isn't just pudding, it's layers of flavor and comfort. It's made by stacking vanilla wafers, sliced bananas, and creamy vanilla pudding, sometimes homemade, sometimes from a box. On top, many families add whipped cream or meringue, baked until golden. When chilled, all the layers come together into something soft, sweet, and rich. This dessert became a favorite in African American households because it was simple, but felt special. The vanilla wafers soak up the pudding, making them soft and cake-like, while the bananas add a fresh, fruity sweetness. Families often made banana pudding for Sunday dinners, reunions, and holidays because it was easy to make in big batches for everyone to enjoy. Banana pudding is also about memories. Everyone remembers seeing that big dish come out of the fridge or oven and waiting for their turn to dig in. It's a dessert that feels like it belongs at every celebration. Some people even add their own twist, like caramel drizzle or extra cookies on top. 23. Hoppin' John. Hoppin' John is a traditional Southern dish made with black-eyed peas, rice, and smoked pork or bacon. It's often cooked with onions, peppers, and spices to add flavor. The black-eyed peas represent coins, and the rice stretches the dish to feed a whole family. It's most famously eaten on New Year's Day because people believe it brings luck and wealth for the year ahead. The dish has African roots, as rice and beans were staples in West African cooking. Enslaved Africans carried these traditions with them, and over time, Hoppin' John became a part of African American food culture. It shows how history, survival, and creativity came together in one pot. Families make Hoppin' John differently. Some keep it simple, while others spice it up with hot sauce or add collard greens on the side. Greens represent dollar bills. Cornbread is often served with it too, so you can soak up all the flavorful juices. 24. Dirty R. 22. Dirty rice is a famous Southern dish that looks simple but tastes amazing. The name dirty comes from the way it looks. When white rice is cooked with chopped meat, onions, bell peppers, and spices, it turns brown and looks dirty. But don't let the name fool you, it's packed with flavor. Traditionally, dirty rice was made with chicken livers or gizzards because those cuts were cheap and available. The meat gave the rice its rich, deep taste. Over time, people started using ground beef, sausage, or other meats instead. The key is cooking the meat with the vegetables and seasonings before mixing it all with the rice. That way, every grain soaks up the flavor. For African American families in Louisiana and across the South, dirty rice was a way to stretch a little bit of meat into a full, filling meal for the whole family. It became popular at gatherings, cookouts, and even as a regular weekday dinner. It's the kind of dish you can eat on its own, or pair with fried chicken, catfish, or barbecue ribs. 25. Brunswick Stew. Brunswick stew is a thick, hearty dish that's full of meat, vegetables, and flavor. It usually includes chicken, pork, or beef, cooked with tomatoes, corn, lima beans, and potatoes. Everything simmers together until it's rich and comforting. Some versions even use rabbit or squirrel because back in the day, people cooked with whatever they had. This stew has roots in Southern history and became popular at big gatherings. African American families often made it to church picnics, reunions, or community events because one giant pot could feed dozens of people. The stew was filling, cheap, and easy to stretch, making it perfect for large groups. What makes Brunswick stew special is its thick, almost barbecue-like flavor. Some recipes use barbecue sauce or smoked meat, giving it a tangy, smoky kick. Each family and region has its own version, but the idea stays the same. Hearty comfort food for a crowd. 26. Pound cake. Pound cake got its name because the original recipe used a pound each of flour, sugar, butter, and eggs. That made a dense, rich cake that became a Southern tradition. African American grandmothers especially kept this recipe alive, often baking it for Sunday dinners, church gatherings, or holidays. The beauty of pound cake is its simplicity. It doesn't need frosting or fancy toppings. It's delicious all by itself. Moist, buttery, and slightly sweet, it's the kind of cake you can eat with coffee, tea, or even a glass of milk. Some families add a little lemon or vanilla for extra flavor, but the classic version is always a hit. Pound cake is also about tradition. Many people remember watching their grandma mix the batter by hand or pull the cake out of the oven, filling the house with that sweet, buttery smell. It's the kind of dessert that feels homemade and full of love every time. 27. Sweet tea. Sweet tea is exactly what it sounds like. Tea brewed strong, then sweetened with sugar while it's still hot so the sugar dissolves completely. After that, it's chilled and served over ice, often with a slice of lemon. The result is a cold, refreshing drink that's sweet, smooth, and perfect on a hot day. For African American families, sweet tea has been a staple at gatherings for generations. It's always on the table at Sunday dinners, barbecues, and family reunions. Everyone has their own recipe. Some make it super sweet, others a little lighter, but the idea is always the same: tea that feels like comfort in a glass. Sweet tea also carries tradition. Back in the day, it was a special treat because sugar and tea were considered luxuries. Over time, it became an everyday drink, especially in the South, where the heat makes iced drinks a must. Now, it's hard to imagine a soul food meal without a pitcher of sweet tea nearby. 28. Kool-Aid pickles. Kool-Aid pickles, sometimes called Kool-Aid, are regular dill pickles soaked in Kool-Aid and sugar until they taste totally different. The idea might sound strange at first, pickles and Kool-Aid, but once you try it, you get why people love them. The sour crunch of the pickle mixes with the sweet, fruity flavor of Kool-Aid, creating something that's tangy, sweet, and refreshing all at once. They're made really easily. You take a jar of pickles, pour out some of the brine, and mix in Kool-Aid powder with sugar. Popular flavors are cherry grape or fruit punch because the bright colors look cool and the flavors pop the most. Then you put the pickles back in and let them sit in the fridge for a few days. By the time they're ready, the pickles turn red, purple, or whatever color Kool-Aid you used, and the taste is unlike anything else. Kool-Aid pickles are especially popular in the South and among African American kids. They're often sold in local corner stores, gas stations, or at school snack stands. 29. Turkey necks and rice. Turkey necks might not be the first part of a turkey you think of eating, but when cooked the right way, they're amazing. African American families slow cook turkey necks with onions, garlic, peppers, and lots of spices until the meat becomes tender and juicy. As they cook, the turkey necks release a rich flavor that turns into a gravy. That gravy is then poured over fluffy rice, making the perfect comfort meal. This dish started as a way to use every part of the turkey and not waste anything. Turkey necks were cheap and sometimes even given away, so families learned how to season and cook them until they became delicious. Over time, turkey necks and rice became a favorite soul food dish because it was affordable, filling, and comforting. The best part is how versatile it is. Some people make it spicy with cayenne or hot sauce, while others keep it simple and savory. No matter how it's made, the rice soaks up the gravy and makes the whole plate come together. 30. Pecan pie. Pecan pie is one of the most loved desserts in the South, especially during the holidays. It's made with pecans, eggs, sugar, butter, and corn syrup, baked in a flaky pie crust. When it comes out of the oven, the filling is rich, sweet, and sticky, with crunchy pecans on top. Every bite is a mix of buttery crust, gooey center, and nutty crunch. African American families made pecan pie a staple for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Sunday dinners. It's the kind of dessert that feels fancy, but is really simple to make. Everyone has their own version. Some make it extra nutty, others add chocolate, bourbon, or whipped cream. But the classic pecan pie is always a favorite. Pecans are native to the South, which is why this pie became so popular there. They were easy to find and affordable, so people used them to create a dessert that turned into a tradition. Which one are you dying to try first? Comment below, smash that like button if you got hungry, and don't forget to subscribe because the next video is gonna be even crazier.